Welcome to Ripple Impact, inspiring you to transform your lives. My name is Abraham. In today's show, we have someone who is going to blow your mind with information that will help to transform your life. Nelson is happily married with his partner of 10 plus years, and he is the proud father of 2 young children. Nelson has worked within the engineering field in various disciplines since 2001, but he is excited to be phasing out that career into business ownership full time. Having found his purpose in adding value to others by helping them unlock their personal potential while continuing to grow and elevate themselves, he believes there are no limits to personal growth and development and considers himself an avid learner. Nelson has put into action the principle that it's not about what you know, but who you know, and through that has earned some powerful connections in the entrepreneurial world. Nice having you on our show.
Thanks, Abraham. I appreciate the kind words. It's very humble to be here and appreciate the invite. Thank you.
Nelson, considering your full-time role as a father, husband, and having 2 young kids, I know what it means, growing up kids, bringing up kids. So how have you been able to manage all of these, and how do you classify success?
That's a great question. Thanks for asking. A lot has been attributed to just having systems in play. Obviously, in a household before kids, we had our own systems in play. When we talk about systems, it's just more predictability and stability in terms of where our day is going. And that's with a lot of calendar blocking, a lot of placement of materials around the house, so we know where to find it. Like, it's just not taking up mental bandwidth. It's just, we know where the keys are. It's by the table on the door. We know where said product is, and we just know where to find it. We don't want to exhaust the kind of bandwidths, right? And going to a household full of kids, I blew up all those cards, right? Our systems from before, we had to kind of navigate in terms of, okay, what cards actually work, what doesn't work, what new cards we might have to actually bring into play, and how's this actually going to fit as a household, right? Yeah. And challenging our marriage as well, because obviously we want to provide the best for our kids and give the attention to our kids. But I just attribute to having great people in my corner who I not really envy, but admire their model, how being parents. So I pretty much asked them, like, hey, you guys have walked the road of parenthood before. How's this look like in terms of navigating a new child or a newborn, sleep, connection as a husband and wife? It's just seeking perspective from other people. I know people haven't been trained about this in the school system, but it's just really humbling ourselves and saying, you know what, I don't know it all. I admire your example. What has worked for you? And then we take the perspective, and it's up to us to take ownership if we want to apply. So it's been a learning curve. A lot we have learned as well on our own. In terms of our household, because what might work in another household might not work in ours, but just kind of added the pieces here and there. And yeah, even today, up to today, it's still a learning curve, because the kids are always growing and developing brain-wise, mental-wise, and we have to be focused in terms of really being present for them. So it's been a great journey so far, that's for sure.
Nice. Okay, Nelson, do you believe your values helps people from to form an opinion and have a particular way they do things in terms of their personal lives and business? Does this really resonate with you? And if it does, what are your core set of values that you operate, personally and in business?
Yeah, that's a great thing. Analyzing values and really zoning in as to what your values are. I think it's really important for any, from a personal standpoint, marriage standpoint, relationship standpoint, or even business standpoint, to recognize, because if you don't have no set of values, then what direction you're actually going. I've learned, these are things that I've learned through a lot of failures, and then saying, okay, what are our core set of values? Because I believe that if we have a core set of values, it's easy to filter out and make decisions in life. For instance, our set of values are our faith, family, freedom, being debt-free, having a strong marriage, have a positive association, to name a few, right? So if we have a instance that comes into our life, we filter it through those decisions, right? Saying, okay, we're potentially invited to a scenario or a gathering where it's association maybe that doesn't align with our mindset, right? Might be great people, nothing to dismiss against the people. We're very protective of our mindset, and become an energy leak in our day, right? So it becomes easy to make decisions in our life if we filter our decisions through our values, right? And I know from the past, like, we're not perfect, but we've evolved through time, that we just made decisions based on emotional. Where it's like, oh my gosh, yes, I want to go to that. It's, oh, I deserve it. I worked hard all week. But when we didn't have a set of values, we just go anywhere, right? But when we're on a course to move forward, it's important to have a set of values to say, does this action parallel and on course with my values? And if the answer is yes, then our decision's easy.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It is very important to have core values, because these are the things that define who you are, what you do, how you do them. And it is very important. Like you said, if you do not have a set of core values that you follow, you are directionless, right? You don't know where you're going, and even when you get there, you don't know when you are there, right?
Yeah.
So it is very important and very, very imperative to have core sets of values.
100%.
Yeah. A lot of successful people, talk about having mentors. I know they emphasize the need and the importance of having a mentor. Personally, I do have a mentor,
Yeah.
and I know how important that is to me, because it's more like someone who watches what you do. It's more like an accountable partner, to you. Someone you always go back to when you feel you are doing something and you want to get an opinion of the person. And having someone as a mentor means that someone that has passed through the journey that you're trying to go through. So
That's right.
he's already familiar with the situation around there and will be able to advise you in the best of your interest. So Nelson, who would you say is your mentor, and do you truly believe in mentorship as well, and what does that mean to you?
Absolutely. I truly believe in mentorship. Absolutely. Again, just following examples of recognizing habits and actions of people who are quote unquote successful. What I know, success means different things to different people.
Absolutely.
And for us, like, success means money, time, and quality relationships, and having a steady household, strong marriage, just name a few. And accessing mentorship, I know it's not really taught in the school system to pursue people. I know my dad taught me this at an early age, to pursue people who have results that you are attracted to, right? And I have a couple of strong personal mentors as well, and indirect mentors as well in my life. And I pursued them. When I had just chance conversations through some friends, I believe we meet everyone for a reason, right? Whether it's through chance, for a reason, or for a season. And recognizing, and I recently read your book here, Abraham, and I totally believe that. I appreciated the fact that you said success comes dressed in overalls. You don't recognize it, and you don't recognize the person in front of you sometimes. They might be running in a pair of joggers and sweats, wherever it might be, but you don't know who they are, what they represent, right? They're just human like you and I, right? But it's like the point to actually have people skills and interrupt them, right? If there's the cost to, and then find out about their life. And I've learned that people who are actually successful or actually moving forward in life are actually open to talk, right? Because they understand the law of giving value, right? So I ran to people like this, like through friends of mine, saying they were talking highly about, having mentors in their life and the results they created. And I'm like, can I meet them? So I put on a pretty much, what's the word for it? A case for having them to open up the door to introduce me to them. And that was granted to me. And they pretty much vetted me to earn their mentorship, right? Because their time is valuable. They want to invest into time into others if it made sense to them, right? If our course was in alignment with their course, then they're able to invest time into us. And thankfully, after a few weeks, after a bit of vetting, we earned their mentorship, and I earned some indirect mentors as well. And I'm very well connected with them. They've impacted our marriage, our finances. We used to be debt-free like 5-6 years ago. We live a cash flow lifestyle now. The only debt we carry is like a mortgage. That annoys me to a certain perspective, knowing that the values that we have. But I'm grateful we have a roof over our head. But I access them through many platforms, through a texting platform, through a voice messaging platform. We have so many, even Zoom now, right? Zoom. It's just, in the world that we live here today, Zoom has just taken off. There's so many ways to seek in a world full of problems. When there's a solution-seeking mindset, you always pursue people and ways and solutions, right? And mentorship has really impacted my life, impacted my marriage. But that takes a lot of humility to say, I need a mentor, or I'm attracted to mentorship, because a lot of people don't, I used to be guilty of this, say, I don't need that. Like, what for, right? I have my own brain. I can get myself out of my own holes, and it's not other people's problems, right? People like John Maxwell always say, like, he has mentors, right? And Warren Buffett has a mentor. The greats of the world have mentors. Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and it's like, what's the common thread? It's humility to know that we don't know it all, and to seek people who have knowledge, who've walked the path, right? And they don't know it all either. If they say they don't know, right? And they say, hey, let me get back to you. So it's been very impactful in my life. And I highly recommend people to say, if you run into someone in your life and say, that's willing to add value, don't be an employee-minded thinking, be an entrepreneur-minded thinking, say, value is being added. You want to complete the cycle, right? So
that's quite true. A lot of people, they have this pride in them that does not allow them to humble themselves to seek for help. And I know one thing for sure is that nobody knows it all. Getting a second opinion could sometimes be of a very invaluable, asset to you, because you don't get to know it all. And someone may be looking at it from a different lens other than what you're looking at it from. And when you seek, when you bring together your own, perspective of it, alongside the perspective of the other person watching without any emotions attached to it, then you could be making the best decision out of it, because you see clearly, right? It's like taking out the spot out of your eyes. That's absolutely true. So it takes humility to get to be assigned to a mentor, or to get yourself connected to a mentor, because of course there's going to be tasks, there's going to be deadlines which you must stick to and have to follow through to. So it's very important, but then it takes humility. And like you said, the so-called successful people, they all have mentors, right? They do have mentors, and that has helped them to grow to the point where they are. And one thing is growing to a particular point. The other thing is to maintain that growth and also continue in that growth process, because you don't just grow and when you get there you stop growing. Once that happens, that might be the beginning of your death in quote, right?
yeah.
So it is very, very important to have mentors. Nelson, I know you are an avid reader. You read a lot. I've had the privilege to get some books you recommended to me in the past, and I know you feed yourself very well in terms of your mind.
Thank you.
Which is very important for everyone that seeks to grow. So what does personal development mean to you, and how important is that?
Yeah. Again, I didn't really realize what personal development was maybe 5-6 years ago. I just thought personal growth was like personally growing my muscles, right? But it's personally growing your mental muscle.
That's right.
In terms of personal growth scale, a lot of people don't realize that they stop personally growing after school, right? Because being a new parent here now, you've seen the growth of your child, right? Their learning curve.
Yeah.
It's they're failing, they're learning, they're failing, they're learning. It's a failing and learning. You see the graph go up and down like this, right? And it continues on to school. You're failing, you're learning, you're failing, you're learning. You get your certificate, diploma, bachelor's ed, or whatever letters you want to put behind your name. And all of a sudden you enter the job world and it starts to flatline. You're not really growing and learning anymore, right? And that's where a lot of people tend to get lost or frustrated, or they're not too sure what direction to go towards, because they're not being challenged, they're not growing themselves, right? But true leaders, and I guess in the corporate pyramid, they understand what leadership actually is. So they're actually still learning and growing. But most employees are just kind of there to check in and check out, and they have no reason to grow until they get frustrated themselves and say, you know what, having a 20-year-old crisis, 30-year-old crisis, half-year crisis, whatever this crisis is now called. We're saying that's the inner spirit that says, I'm able to do more, right? And again, once I saw examples in front of me that had elements that I was attracted to, they talked about personal growth, and personal growth meant avidly reading, like put your face in a book, not on Facebook. And, you know, I was guilty of just scrolling my day away, right? Like, what kind of value did that give to me? None. I was just seeing the highlight reel of every person's life, right? And that can add a lot of anxiety and self-doubt into someone, because they're saying, oh, look at everyone, they're having a fantastic life, right? But if you look at Sports Center, a game is 60 minutes, but they show 3 minutes of highlights, right? That's like a perfect equivalent. And personal growth, I wasn't an avid reader when I learned how to develop myself, right? The last book I read before that was in high school, and that was like, before that was like 20 plus years. And to the point where you started the habit slowly, right? It's 15 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day here, 5 minutes, wherever it is. So you can stretch and grow that muscle to the point where I read 15, 30 minutes on a minimal day, right? I have audio podcasts running once a day at least, sometimes twice a day in the car. Trust me, I still listen to great music, and I'll still watch the odd show here and there, but that's not my priority where before. Like, my priority is to invest in my mind first, invest in my family. And at the end of the day, if there's a reward that I've achieved, then I'll hit the Netflix, right? But it's not a priority for, it's like, I need to get home and go on the couch, where that used to be my mentality 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Kind of like brushing your teeth. If you don't brush your teeth, your teeth feel fuzzy. And as your person growing and developing, you kind of feel if you're not growing, you know inside your soul that you're not growing. So you're just like, oh, did I get my reading in today? No, I didn't. I need to get around to it. And entrepreneurs and true people who are actually growing, they understand that it can't stop. And it's kind of like you're feeding your brain. It's like it's fuel for your brain. And you're just attracted to it all the time. And I always take on recommendations for books. I love giving recommendations to books. There's a plethora out there, as I'm sure you know and understand, Abraham. And it's a lot of value in my mind. And a lot of my language comes from the books I read. And people who classify themselves as successful, the common thread again is they read a lot of books, they listen to a lot of personal growth audios, podcasts, YouTube streams, things like that. Get around association. Association's key. The circle of five, you all heard it. If you hang around 5 people, odds are you're going to start developing habits and traits in a negative or positive way, regardless of where you're at, right? And personal growth is something very valuable. It should never stop. It is no rival, like you said. But that's an intentional habit that needs to be built into the mind, to the point where it becomes autopilot and you just go towards it.
In one word, what would be your advice for our audience, and how can they reach you for either mentorship or if they want to ask you questions?
Go back to the same word I brought in earlier. It's humility. Humility to reach out. And I know as men in society, especially I've learned here, it's very difficult to reach out. When we're in a society that says you're supposed to have big, broad shoulders and handle it, shut your mouth and take it like a man. Versus we're all human. We all have feelings. We all need to say something else. It's part of growth. And with our spouse or with a friend, I know it can be difficult when maybe to open up to a friend because they might not respond in the way of empathy. They respond in sympathy, and there's 2 big differences. Having a mentor, they respond with empathy, and then they apply principles of like kind of grabbing what you're saying and then adding to it, right? But there involves a lot of humility to reach out to someone and say, you know what, it seems like you're in the right trajectory. I'm not too sure what you're doing and how you help people. I'm open to getting to know you, because it should be like that. You should get to know people on the front end before doors get open to mentorship, relationships, or whatever it might be, right? And to people get a hold of me, they can just get a hold of me through an email address, private message me on Facebook. I can make my phone number available. I'm totally reachable, and I'll invest time, 15, 30 minutes to get to know someone front end if they have a humility. If they're coming to the table with an ego, like I know it all, then I'll still talk to him, but you can just tell it's not going to go forward, right? And because that's where I'm talking like that because I used to be there. And I was just really subconsciously attracted to going somewhere, but I knew I had to have people in my pocket to help me get there. And I knew my best brain at the time before was not gonna be able to get me in a different spot 5 years from now, right? The saying goes, you are where you are today because of the thoughts and actions of the last 5 years. And if your thoughts and actions don't change, you will be in the exact same spot in 5 years from now. So then therefore you need to borrow someone else's brain and mentality.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Nelson. Thank you for being on our show. And we are really blessed, and truly you have fed our minds with information, and got to see you some of the time. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Abraham. Appreciate it.
Bye for now.
Take care.